So watch me transform this beauty. First thing first, I'm going to be using my micellar water and my cotton pad to clean up the face in order to remove dirt and oil on the face. So next, I'm going to be hydrating her skin with my Kiss Beauty spray. This would help to keep the face moist. Then after that, I'm going to let it dry before moving on to moisturizer. For moisturizer, I'm going to use Cetaphil moisturizer to moisturize her face. So apply it generously all over the face and make sure every product dries off before moving on to the next product. So after the moisturizer, I'm going to let it absorb into the skin before I went ahead to use this Kiss Beauty primer to prime all over the face. So it's very important to apply your primer after your moisturizer. After applying it, you want to let it dry a little into the skin. After that, I'm going to be using this Gentle Dove mattifying primer and apply it on her T-zone area. So I know you'll be wondering why I'm applying this Gentle Dove mattifying primer on her T-zone area, because her T-zone area is most likely to get oily. So this mattifying primer is going to help prevent the oil from coming out. After that, I let it dry before I went ahead to lock in the skin prep with the same spray, after which I let it dry into the skin. So to cover up these blemishes on her face, I'm going to be color correcting. So I'm going to mix my orange corrector and concealer. The concealer I'm using is a little darker than her skin color, so I mixed the both together to cover up these blemishes on her face. So after that, I used my beauty sponge to blend it in. So moving on to foundation, I'm going to be mixing this Sylvimak and Gentle Dove foundation. Then I went ahead using my damp beauty sponge to blend the foundation into the skin. So after blending in the foundation, moving on to contour, I'm going to be using this ZKL foundation in the shade 015 to contour her face. So to contour the face, you need a shade that is 2 shades or 3 shades darker than your skin to contour the face. So moving on to cream blush, I'm going to be using this shade from my Blossom lip palette and apply it above her cheekbone and a little bit on the tip of her nose. Then I went ahead using my beauty sponge to blend. You know, you're not supposed to use the same side of the beauty sponge you use in blending the foundation. You just have to turn it the other side to blend the blush. So after blending, I'm going to be highlighting the face with this Nubanbeauty concealer in the shade 042 to highlight the face. So after applying the concealer, I'm going to be blending the concealer on the highlighted area. So next is to set the concealer. I'm going to be using my Merak setting powder in the shade Ginger. But before setting, I went back using my beauty sponge to blend again to avoid creasing. So after that, I went ahead to set with my setting powder from Merak Cosmetics in the shade Ginger. So let me tell you something that I used to do sometimes that works for me. So if you always have patches on the areas underneath the eyes after setting the face, after setting the concealer, the thing you should do is to always make sure you moisturize the areas underneath the eyes properly. And if you're using a mattifying foundation, avoid applying it on the areas underneath the eyes. What you need to do is blend the foundation all over the face. Then whatever remains in your beauty sponge, you can just use it to just blend that area, but do not apply foundation on that area, especially if you're using a mattifying foundation. If not, that place will be too tight and too dry. So after setting, I'm going to be using this Zaron brown skin powder in the shade Ray to set the rest of her face. So for low light contouring, which is dry contouring, I'm going to be using this shade here to set the areas I applied the cream contour. So next I'm going to be applying this super stay powder on the areas I highlighted. Next, I'm going to be mixing these two shades here to contour her nose. So for those that used to say when they contour the nose, they don't see the effects, my dear, you need to take your time to contour the nose. Make sure you work on that nose if you want your nose to be slimmer. So after that, I used my powder brush to blend everything together. So after blending everything together, I'm going to be setting the face with my Kiss Beauty spray. This would help to reduce the powdery effect and the brightness on the face. After that, I'm going to let it dry properly into the skin before going ahead to bake. So I used the same setting powder I used to set the face to bake the face. So I feel this setting powder is perfect for her skin shade because it sits well into the skin. So moving on to the brows, I'm going to be using my spoolie brush to brush her brows first. Then I went ahead using my brow tone to lay the brows nicely. So I skipped the brows to start with the eyeshadow. I'm going to be using my Viange eyeshadow base. I'm just going to apply it on her lid. So next I'm going to be applying this shade from my powder palette as her transition color. But I started off applying it from the outer corner of her lid and blending it towards the inner corner of her lid. After blending everything, I'm going to be applying this shade from my Blossom eyeshadow palette. I started off from the outer corner, then also blended it towards the inner corner. So I went back using this shade to blend everything together to avoid any demarcation. So after that, I'm going to be using this my Just Good eyeshadow. I'm just gonna take this shade here and apply it on the inner corner of her lid. So after that, I added this color from the same palette. I added it by the corner. So So next I'm going to be using this Elsas pigment. I'm just gonna take this color here and apply it only on the inner corner of her lid. So after that, I used my eyeshadow blending brush to blend. It's always important to blend. Then I went ahead applying some setting powder on the outer corner of her lid, like to define the lid. So to line her upper and lower lash line, I used my Karite gel liner and my angled brush to line her upper and lower lash line. So moving on to her brows, I'm going to be using my Karite gel liner and my angled brush to draw her brows, following the shape of her brows. So left for me, I would have loved to leave the brows like this without highlighting it, but I just decided to do it. So I used the same concealer I used to highlight the face to highlight the brows. Then I went ahead to blend the concealer immediately. So after that, I used this shade I used as her transition color to blend to avoid any demarcation. Then I used this light shade to set the concealer. So next I'm going to be doing the other brows following the same method. So I don't always highlight the top of the brows all the time, but I decided to touch this one a little with the same foundation I used on her face. So next I'm going to be using my mascara to prep her natural lashes and also give it volume. So moving on to powdery brush, I'm going to be using this shade from my Tara blush palette and apply it above her cheekbone. So I know you'll be wondering what's the light thing on her lash line. Is lash glue. I wanted to wear her lashes, but it was not dry. I had to remove it. After that, I wore her these lashes from G Lashes. So next I used the contour brush I used in applying the dry contouring. I used it to blend. So I noticed this her brow bone wasn't blended properly. I had to use a blending brush to blend. So I went back with that contour brush to blend the areas I contoured. So moving on to the lip, I'm going to be using this shade from my Blossom Lip palette to outline her lip. After that, I apply this orange shade in the middle. So next I'm going to be dusting off the excess powder on her face. So after that, I used my powder brush to blend everything together. After that, I used my Kiss Beauty spray to set the face properly. Like this will help the makeup to absorb into the skin. After that, I let it dry before going ahead with this Nubanbeauty highlighter. So I'm just going to apply it on the areas I highlighted. So next I'm going to be using this TM Essential Always Glow. I'll just take a little and apply it on the places I want the face to glow. So next I'm going to be applying this mascara on her lower lashes. Then if at any point in time your mascara stains your face, all you need to do is to let it dry. When it dries, you use your spoolie brush to gently take it off. It will just go off without any issue. Then I set the face with the same Kiss Beauty. After letting it dry, I sealed it up with my So Pro Seal It spray. So after that, I'm going to let it blend into the skin, and this is the final look, guys. I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, like, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.